Hi, welcome back to McMorris Prosthetic Services. Today's a little different. It's actually tonight for me. I don't know when you're watching this, but I've been working on this one for a little while and wasn't really expecting to make it. I had the opportunity this morning to go and speak to a local high school football team here that my brother coaches for, and we used to coach together. We coached together for a long time, and so I recorded the audio. And so be generous with me, because there's high school boys in there coughing and things over it, and luckily I was able to get mostly decent audio. But if you guys would like to see more of this type of content, definitely let me know. Hit the like, obviously, and all of that stuff. And because I'd like to make more of these. I've had fun making it. But just a little prelude, I guess, to the video, and what I talk about. I mean, it's centered around football, and I'll circle back at the end if you make it all the way to the end, and wrap it up, because I think it really correlates all to life. But yeah, I mean, 2 weeks ago, I got a Instagram message from one of my old friends that said call me right away, and she told me that my best friend passed away, and he just passed away in his sleep Sunday night into Monday morning. His heart exploded. He's 34, and it's been pretty tough. It's been pretty tough to deal with, for sure. He was kind of, especially through all the things that I'll talk about, he was really kind of my keeper in a lot of ways, and I always thought that he would bury me. And so, yeah, enjoy the video. It's not a downer. So I do, it's supposed to be a motivational speech to a high school football team. So enjoy that, and we'll meet back at the end.
Like Josh said, my name's Alec. I was fortunate to coach football for a decade or more, and coached for a long time out at Grantsville, and whatever. We don't need to get into that. I know the feelings. But I went to West Jordan High School, and growing up like you guys, my identity was being an athlete. I love playing football. And after I graduated high school, I really didn't know what I was going to do. Like a lot of you guys, I assumed and figured that I'm going to play at the next level, and the offers will come eventually. But I also didn't go to class. I also never turned in assignments on time. I had to take a math test the day of graduation, so I wasn't getting any offers. Grades matter more than football does. And so when I graduated, I thought, man, what am I going to do? I don't really know. I just started working construction, and I didn't have a plan. Really, my plan was eventually maybe I'll figure out how to walk on somewhere. I'll go up to Montana and play there, do something like that, right? And so I started working construction, and the morning of October 30th, 2013, I got up to go to work, and it was very similar to today. A little bit cloudy. It rained the night before, late October, and I got to the mouth of Parley's Canyon, and ended up going behind my cousin, because we both worked for my uncle. We were building a big house up on the Canyons Resort, and so we were just going same place, same time. And so about halfway up the canyon, there's the East Canyon exit, and it's like an overpass. So the freeway's going up, you get off and go underneath if you exit. So it's a bridge. The bridge is sitting a half an inch higher than the rest of the freeway, right? And so even in the summer, it's on a sharper turn. Everybody's doing 80 miles an hour, flying up there. Even in the summer, it's in that left-hand lane, it's a little bit sketchy. And I remember that even as before I could drive, I remember being I like it when my parents moved to the middle. It's too scary over here in the left-hand lane. And I remember thinking rain the night before, bridge is probably frozen because it was wet. So I'm going to move over. So I got over into the middle lane, and my cousin stayed in the left-hand lane, and I watched him hit the bridge. The bridge was frozen. He slid out and slammed into the guardrail on the left-hand side of the freeway. I pulled over really just thinking like he's gonna need a ride to work. We'll get his car towed. It was just him in the accident. He was okay, and Uncle Mike won't have to come pick him up. I'll just pick him up and we'll go straight to the job. And so I walked up to him, asked him how he was doing, and he said he was okay. And then he got back into his car to get his phone, and I noticed that tires had popped off the front axle of his car. One had rolled all the way to the other side of the road and was out of the way. The other was in the road, kind of in the shoulder on our side, half in, half out. And so I hopped the barrier, walked around his car, and then hopped back onto the freeway and was going to pull that tire out of the road. And as I was doing that, another truck was doing 85 miles an hour, did the same thing my cousin did, lost control, and slid out and started sliding towards me. And luckily I saw him coming and tried to jump back over the barrier, and as I jumped, he hit me and threw me 30 feet. And the next thing that I remember is laying in the grass, and my cousin is down there trying to get me to lay down because I was trying to stand up. I was saying, hey man, we got to finish this house today. Let's get out of here. Like, I got work to do. The Red Sox are going to play in the World Series tonight. Are they going to clinch? I hope so. That was all I was thinking about. And so my cousin's trying to get me to calm down while a nurse is putting a tourniquet on my leg, trying to stop the bleeding. And I'm like throwing punches at my cousin saying, get the F off me. And finally he says, all right, man, look down at your foot. And I looked down at my foot and it was sitting up by my hip. And so I was like, all right, I'll take today off then. And the next thing that I remember is being in the ambulance, and I can't see anything, but I can hear, the machines beeping. I can hear EMTs talking. And I remember thinking like, wow, I'm in an ambulance. This isn't very good. And when I got to the hospital, doctor said I told him who I was, I told him what happened, and then I went straight into surgery and had 5 or 6 surgeries on that first day. Josh probably remembers better than I do. I had a cut on my eyebrow, I chipped a front tooth, I bit my tongue almost all the way off. I had a tear in my heart that kills people in about 10 minutes that they didn't find until I was at the hospital for 6 hours. I had a ruptured spleen, lacerated kidneys, I shattered this thumb. I tore the LCL and the ACL in my left knee and broke the tibia in my left leg, and then my right leg was basically shredded, looked like something out of The Walking Dead. It was broke in my femur, it was broken below on my tibia, and then it was an open wound from the middle of my thigh down to my ankle. But I just got done coaching my first season or second, I think my first season at West Jordan High. And, I was an active dude. Like I said, my identity was being an athlete, right? And so my parents weren't going to make the decision to amputate my leg, so they tried to save it for a while and took the abs out of the left side of my stomach and put those down into my leg to try to rebuild some of my calf back and everything else. And after about 4 days, I was on a ventilator. You guys know what a ventilator is, machine basically keeping me alive. I was in a medically induced coma. And after about 4 days, I woke up and didn't realize what was going on. But by then, those abs were grafted down into my leg and were starting to become infected. And after about another week and a half-ish, I started to realize the gravity of the situation and how serious it was. And I went into a long surgery that was 13, 14 hours, and started to have, a bunch of hallucinations when I came out of that. And that was really the first night that I ever thought I was going to die. And that's because I thought that my nurse was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy. I thought my best friend was an alien, and I thought my mom was an alien. And that was all just from anesthesia and infection and everything else. And so then the next day I was like, man, things are not good here. And my uncle came to speak to me, and he's an orthopedic surgeon. He works for the U.S. ski team now. He's worked for the Broncos and the Chiefs. He knows his stuff. And he came in to talk to me and explain that if I still had my leg, no matter what, I'd still be having surgeries every couple months, maybe a few times a year. He explained to me that I was going to be way more functional on a prosthetic leg than I was ever going to be on my leg again. And that to me made it really simple of okay, well, if these muscles don't work, I'm cutting this thing off because function is what I want. I'm an athlete. And so I made that decision, and then I went into another long surgery to try to clean up what we could and see what we could save of those ab muscles. And when I came out, the surgeon said no, those failed. And he started talking about taking the lats out of my back and using those to rebuild my muscle back. And I cut him off. And I was just no, man, let's amputate and move on, right? And I had made that decision a few days before. I didn't say it out loud to anyone. I didn't tell anyone in my family, like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm going to do. I just made that decision. And then once that surgery ended, I was like, bang, this is it. This is easy. And so the next morning, my family, my parents are there, and the surgeon is in there explaining the surgery to me, and my mom gets a phone call. And, my hospital room was a quarter the size of this room. My mom's over in the corner over there, and I can hear my aunt. And she called my mom and is screaming at my mom on the phone, like, don't let him do this. Wait another 24 hours. There's got to be something else we could do. She had found some, experimental surgery they were doing in Texas where they were, grafting pig muscles into Bet's legs to rebuild. I don't even know if that's true. She probably found it on, some dark website, But she wanted me to wait. A lot of my family wanted me to wait. It was scary because it was abrupt, and how do you know what life is going to be like, before this? And so I remember trying to talk to my surgeon and being pretty frustrated that I couldn't hear him, and asking my mom for the phone. And when she gave me the phone, I just hung up and was like, okay, I'll deal with that later. And then I went into the pre-operating room, which is where they give you, all the medications and stuff to get ready for surgery. And I really haven't ever cried too much about losing my leg. I've been very fortunate to recognize that it's given me a lot of gifts and a lot of things that I can look forward to and benefit from. But I remember being in that pre-operating room and staring up at the lights and seeing, me and my brothers playing football or baseball in the front yard, basketball. And I remember saying to my parents, I'm never going to be able to be a kid again. And my dad putting his hand on my shoulder and telling me that I would always be his kid, and feeling like, okay, this is the right thing for me, and this is what I need to do. And when I came out of the amputation, the surgeon came into my room and said, if we would have waited another 8 to 12 hours, the infection would have been at your hip. We would have had to take your leg at your hip. If we would have waited another 24 hours, the infection would have got to your organs and would have killed you. And so I was very lucky to amputate when I did, and not listen to, maybe some outside resources and everything else. And that's about a quarter of the story, right? But I'm going to stop there because what I want to focus on is really what your coaches are trying to do here, right? And I know what they're trying to do because I've done it with Josh, and I've built it in our own family. It's about building a culture, right? And the thing about going through losing a limb, getting hit by a truck, and almost dying, is you really get to figure out who's in your corner and who's there, right? I know if I need to call somebody, I know who I can call. And I don't know what Josh shared with you about last weekend, but, last weekend Josh was there for me. And he wouldn't have been anywhere else. This is where he wants to be other than for me. And that is because of the culture that we have together, right? That we have built in our family. When I first got to the hospital, Josh will tell you when we were growing up, we didn't get along. We didn't get along at all. We would fight every single day. We have another brother named Landon, and we would say, let's go out and play baseball. We'd beg Landon, let's go play baseball. Let's go shoot horse in the front yard. Let's play football, whatever it is. We'd beg Landon to go play with us so that we would have somebody who could be all-time quarterback or whatever it was, right? And we'd get out there, and Landon would start playing with us for a few minutes. Automatically, not more than 5 minutes, me and Josh would be in a fist fight on the ground. And Landon would just put the ball down, go inside. That's the end of the day. Me and Josh are fighting. Neighbors are calling our mom. Hey, Alec and Josh are out in the front yard again. You need help? And it was constant. He'll tell you, it was constant all the time. When we got out of high school, we fought even more. And then when I ended up on a ventilator in a medically induced coma, Josh was there. Josh wouldn't leave the hospital until I woke up. Until I took the tubes out, Josh wouldn't leave. The other guy that was there the whole time was my buddy that passed away last week. And he did not leave. As soon as he heard that I was there, him and his wife got in their car, they drove up from Beaver, and they stayed in Salt Lake until I left the hospital. A month and a half. And the reason why I tell you guys those things is because, those are my brothers. Yeah, Josh is my brother. That dude, Brian, he is my brother too. It doesn't matter about blood, right? What mattered were the things that we went through before my accident that built that bond together. And you guys have a unique opportunity. That is what I love about football, is that you get a lot of this life experience by playing football, right? Yesterday, you guys had one win and one loss. On Thursdays, I like losses more. That sucks to hear. Is from, if your coach was saying that, you probably wouldn't like it. I think the kids at Grantsville didn't love it when I would say that. But I do like losses more. Thursdays are about learning. Thursdays are about growth. Do you learn as much when you win? Wins are fun. I love winning. Don't get me wrong. I want to win. Everybody wants to win. But do you learn as much? Do you really look at the film as much when you win? Do you really break everything down and be like, man, I messed up on this play? Or are you just like, yeah, I messed up on that play, but I don't really need to worry about that because the three after that I balled out, right? But on that game that you lost, even if you balled out on those other three plays, that one that you messed up, you're going to pay more attention to. You're going to learn from a little bit more. And that's why I like Thursday losses. Because those young kids, you can learn. Let's see. And let's see how you respond. When things get hard, how do you respond? Are you going to be the one that comes down and picks me up and drives me down 2 hours away just because you feel like you should, even though you didn't know this guy at all? Are you going to be the one that your friend calls you in the middle of the night? Yeah, I'll be there, man. No worries. I got you. Right? That is the culture. And the culture is built around you guys caring. Okay? That's why, you're punished for missing practices. That's why you're punished for being late. That's why coach is spending 10 minutes talking to you about bullying. Right? Because the culture matters. I'm not going to talk about Grantsville very much, but I will talk about how when the year we won the state championship, that year was a group of seniors, a group of juniors, a group of sophomores, and a group of freshmen that cared about each other more than they cared about themselves. Right? They didn't care. Our star 3A MVP in the state championship, he would not have cared if he sat the bench the whole game. As long as we got the W, he wouldn't have cared. He would have been our biggest cheerleader. Right? It's about the culture, and the culture really comes from you guys. Like, these guys set an example for you, and they try every day, but it's hard as a coach. It's hard as a coach to get every single one of you guys to buy in, right? Think about that. There's how many dudes in this room? How many dudes on your team total? Maybe 80? If one kid there is like a bully, if one kid is like, I don't need to go to this workout today, it spreads to everyone, right? So it's on you guys, you seniors, first off, have to be like, I want to create something different here. I want to create something better here. And then get those younger kids to buy in. How do I do that? I'm going to call them. I'm going to support them. I'm not going to put them down and bully them. I'm going to call them and say, hey, Jake, man, I know you had a tough day of practice yesterday. Why don't you ride with me to practice? I'll talk to you about how I handled things when things got hard for me as a sophomore. And then you can just follow me around practice all day. Let's be buddies today. That is what leaders do. Okay? I didn't ask Josh to take me down there last weekend. I never would have asked him to miss a practice. He came over to my house and said, I'm going to come pick you up at 7 a.m. I didn't really know that I needed him to do that. But we got home and I couldn't have been more grateful to have him do it. And I needed him there. And he knew it, right? But he knew it because of the bond that we built for each other. Because he knows that if he ever needs anything, if he's ever in the same situation, I will be there for him. And I know it because he's proved it to me time and time again. So prove it to your brothers in here, right? Tonight, you're playing a good team, for sure. I've watched you both play, and they're a good team. I'm sure there's a ton of talk and hype and everything else about them. But I promise you, the teams that care about each other are the teams that are the most successful. They can have all the talent in the world, but if you guys care about the man next to you more than the one across from you, more than yourself, I promise you there's no one that can stop you. I've seen it. I've seen teams that are far less talented do much more because they're selfless. So think about it, right? That's what I've learned through my accident. I was a very selfish, arrogant, cocky kid. I thought that the world was owed to me. I really did. I thought that I was entitled to it. I was better than, just because I was me. That's not true, right? What makes me as good as everyone else is what I can contribute to my community, what I can contribute to the culture that I want to build, right? So build that culture here. Do you want to do something different? Or do you want to graduate? You guys made it quarterfinals, semifinals, and then that's the same, Do something different. Be something different. But understand that doesn't come from being the most talented. It doesn't come from even working the hardest sometimes. It comes from caring about each other and being selfless in every situation. That is how you find success. That is how you build a culture that after you seniors leave here, next year will be the same. And next year will get stronger. And every year continues to build off of it. Because the kids want to be involved. They want to be here. I want to be a stallion, right? I want to be a part of what you guys are building. Create something like that. Don't bully. Don't put other people down. Don't be like, I'm the senior now, so I get to beat up the freshmen. All that's bullshit. It really is. The fact of the matter is care about your teammate, pick each other up, and find ways to support each other. And you will find success. I promise you. Thank you guys. I appreciate you having me out. And good luck tonight. Like, I really do know. You guys have an opportunity. There will be a time, special teams, defense, offense, you will have one play that if you make that play, you've got a chance to win, right? Take advantage of it. When that comes, if it's for your teammate, be excited for your teammate. Don't feel down for yourself that it wasn't you that made the play. Get up for your teammate. Be excited.
Hey fellas, same thing I've been preaching, right? We start the climb last week. It's time to continue climbing. We play at our level. Okay, do the little things correctly that build up to the big things, right? Hey, honestly, I can't explain how much this group of guys means to me, okay? I love every single one of you. I get so excited to watch you guys on Friday night go out here and do your thing, okay? So do it right, do it well, take care of business. Don't let them think they can play with us, all right? Let's get each other up, go win a state championship. Okay, and then we're going to come home, we're going to party hard. Okay, I love you fellas. Let's go get after it. Finish the way we were meant to finish. Okay, family on 3. 1, 2, 3, family!
So that was this morning, and you know, when I used to coach, I really loved like being able to have a platform to speak my like weekly thoughts, and now I've shifted it to here. And so I figured like blending them together and maybe showing some of like my past life, really, like that was what I was so committed to before I like started trying to figure out what my career really was like supposed to be. And so, you know, as much as like all of that is about football, it's like, man, culture is everything. Like I put in there at the end, like my family, because we're building a culture. Me and my wife are building a culture of what we want our family to be. I want it to be like my siblings are, you know, like me and Josh's relationship and everyone else. I have 5 other siblings that like we would all die for each other, and my wife would do the same for her siblings too. And you know, but it's again, it's not just about siblings, because like Brian would have done anything for me and did, and I, you know, it's hard to go through loss like that, for sure. I made a video about change a couple weeks ago that was very different. I miss him, but you know, culture isn't business. Culture is everywhere. Like if your company does not have a culture of selflessness, of employees that want to work hard because they feel like they're taken care of and they feel like they are treated well. If your church doesn't have a congregation of people that want to come and feel like they're getting something out of it and they want to help their neighbor. I mean, everything in this life is about being selfless. And I've learned my hardest lessons when I'm being selfish. And it's ironic that the one time that I like got smacked in the head, I was doing something for somebody else, but also my dad was a state trooper for, you know, half my life. And I should have known better than to go get that tire, so I don't blame anybody else but myself, because his shoulder is this big, so I shouldn't have been over there. I don't have any regrets, but it does suck when your friends start dying, that's for sure. Anyways, culture is everything, and having those friends is what matters the most. And I hope that this video has been entertaining or educational or just like something that you know, you needed to hear. So it's been something I needed to make, I guess, because it's 11 o'clock, I don't know what time it is, and I've been making it all day. So that's it for this week. We'll see you next time.
I don't think the whole town's coming out tonight.